Hey guys, we're back. We
Hello.
have the last installment of the Low Carb Book Club Jason Fung edition. We are doing the appendices today. So let me make sure. What have you guys been up to? I'm going to make sure I've got everything streaming here.
I've been in
I
the
made
middle
a
of a
road
plank
trip to
challenge.
Buc-ee's
Yes, you
yesterday.
went to Buc-ee's. Nice.
Yeah. And they have, oh my gosh, they have all kinds of good meat. They have brisket and they have barbecue and beef jerky. And I bought 2 pounds of beef jerky. And the ingredients are pretty clean. I mean, maybe some purists might find it, not pristine, but there's no preservatives, seed oils, anything like that in it. And as a matter of fact, they told me that if you have it out like longer than a day, that you need to put it in the refrigerator. So anyway, I've stocked up on all that because we've got the Great American Freeze coming up here. It's going to be single digits soon, and we're supposed to be getting snow depending on who you listen to. So me and the cat both have food. So, and I went out a little while ago bringing in some firewood, and oh my gosh, the wind is up and it is chilly out there.
Oh yeah. I want, speaking of Buc-ee's, you were talking about Buc-ee's. I really want to go. We just got one maybe about 15 miles down the road in a neighboring
Oh,
town.
lucky.
Yeah, and so I've never been. Everybody keeps telling me you definitely need to go. So I think I want to do like a little video of Buc-ee's.
You
Yes,
should.
That would be
I've
fun.
only been one time when I was visiting my daughter in Texas, and I didn't spend a tremendous amount of time in there, but it's really a cool store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they don't have them up here in Washington. So
Yeah,
Right,
it's really cool. I mean, they have it sort of reminded me of a classier Walmart in a sense, but they just have so much other stuff. Like they have
like a Target,
maybe Target. Yeah, we could say Target.
like a
And
really
it was
big, interesting Target.
yes, it was just it was a different experience. You just wouldn't expect like a truck stop to be like that. And the food, especially, I was just so pleasantly surprised. Like I sampled the beef jerky and sampled the brisket and the barbecue. And I was like, oh yeah, I got to get some of this. So I did. And I would go there once a week and get stuff to top off my carnivore diet if there was a Buc-ee's close. Because
well, then I definitely need to check it out.
Yeah, it sounds like that's going to be a field trip for you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Up here in Washington, it's been chilly. It's been in the low teens in the mornings, and it's been up into the 20s. And we got a little bit of snow Thursday, and but nothing. We didn't get dumped on like a lot of the country. But yeah, I've been doing a plank challenge this month, and
I know.
yeah, and it's been going well. I've like seriously, like me and exercise has not been we have not crossed paths very much in the past.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
Right.
And so for me, fitness is a new thing to focus on. And it has been a real learning experience because I have to quell my competitive nature and, competing against myself each day, because I did end up kind of straining the muscles in my back. And when I pushed it to like 35 seconds, and so I had to kind of back off for a few days. But I'm doing good, really watching my back, letting my back guide me as to when I need to stop. And like yesterday I did 30 seconds, which was cool. So it's going really well.
Wow.
Yeah, really trying to get my core strength.
That's impressive.
They're hard.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't
hard.
know that I've
And
ever really
keeping that
tried
form,
one.
keeping the form. I mean, that's the thing. You really, and it just, it's an entire body activity. I mean,
yes,
every single muscles you didn't even know you had are involved in this.
It engages all your muscles. And I know I did one for my physical therapist, and he told me my form was good, but I needed to make sure I don't put my head down. I just keep my head so that my whole spine, including my neck muscles, are trying to be even. So I think I've been doing pretty good, but
I'm going to have to try that.
You should try one. Yeah.
You all are giving me homework to do. I'm going to go to Buc-ee's and try planks.
That's right.
There you go. New material.
B-Dog says, I haven't eaten yet, so I just put pork belly bites in my air fryer. I've eaten that for 3 days in a row, and it was delicious every time. Oh, I love pork belly. I need to go get some more, actually.
Yeah, I haven't eaten yet today either.
I did my breakfast. I've been, I'm the weirdo of the group besides Rick of the carnivore community, or low carb, whatever community. And so, yeah, I've been doing my breakfast every day. And
sardines again?
A few days. No, actually today it was Buc-ee's brisket and egg.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know for a few days you were doing sardines, and I was like, you almost got me wanting to just eat sardines for breakfast.
Yeah, they're really good. And here's the thing. I mean, part of a couple of times it was just basically running out of time. And I just was like, I need to eat something because I'm on this challenge. And I didn't really want, it was weird though, because I didn't really want burger patties or anything. It was like, I just didn't really know what I wanted. And so I was like, well, I'll eat sardines, and then it was like, oh, this is really good. Okay. So that was my go-to when I ran out of time. So about half of the breakfasts I've had, I think, are probably sardines, but I've had a lot of burger patties and eggs. And that was mostly what I would have.
Yeah, that's true. I have seen I watched your shorts, so I'll see your burger patties and eggs and
Redmond salt.
Yeah.
I still haven't tried the sardines yet.
Give it a try. That's your assignment, Lynn.
Yeah, that's your homework, Lynn.
Okay.
Oh, all right. So let's get started on the appendices. Every time I say that word, I feel like highfalutin. All right.
So I did do some like I had a library loan of online, like a Kindle version of the book, and I had done some like nice screenshots before, but that expired. So the screenshots I have for today are from my phone.
Oh, okay.
So they're not very good, but I wanted to get at least some visuals so that people could see what we're talking about, especially with the first section.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about some of the sample plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that we're necessarily going to eat a lot of the stuff that he has when you're eating, because he's not going by carnivore, right?
Right.
But I just, I put him there so that you can see how, like, his breakdown of the fasting in the time frames versus the eating time frames.
And, really, if a lot of folks would even start out eating this way, they could ease into like carnivore, keto or carnivore, and, increase their meats and everything. This would be it would be a vast improvement over what most people eat.
So, right. And I'm
not like it's horrible.
The foods that aren't going to spike your insulin like crazy. I mean, otherwise, why would he even write the book if he's going to include those foods, right?
So this would be a really good start for somebody, or especially if they're coming from the vegetarian world, maybe, because there are a lot of things that they would eat. You know what I'm saying is they could just transfer in.
Yeah. So he had the 24 hour, was it 24-hour fast?
Yeah.
So I think that assumes, like, say, for example, you stop eating like 7 p.m. the night before, and, obviously don't have any evening snacks. And so you have fluids for breakfast, fluids for lunch, and it gives examples of your fluids. Coffee's fine, green tea, he has, what is that? Vegetable broth, which we wouldn't be eating. But then assuming that you just start, like, you have dinner this 7 p.m. the following night. So that's the 24-hour fast. And then,
Yeah, but that's assuming it's black coffee, and who wants that?
well, he did mention earlier some stipulations that are okay, so I'm sure we'll get to that. But like afterwards when he breaks it down, he does say that some creamer is okay. Yeah, so I assume that means that you can add some cream to your coffee.
Yeah, but what kind of cream? Because I don't do dairy. I do coconut milk.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he didn't specify whether that was okay. But then the 36-hour fast is just basically like a day and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you eat dinner one night, you have liquids the whole next day, and then you wait and you eat breakfast the following day.
So it's not like a true fast, I don't think, if you are consuming vegetable broth.
Yeah, good point.
And cream, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll stick with my sardine fast.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody hated that.
He does allow certain things, and I don't know if it's like as long as it's under a certain. He didn't specify, and that's something I wish he would have specified. Like, is he basing things on the number of calories? Because he did say, the point was to not have calories, so you're having 0-calorie foods. But then later, where he has his like appendix B, where he says it's a practical guide to fasting. He actually says that you can have things like some creamer, some apple cider vinegar. There's a bunch of things that he said that it's okay to have.
Yeah, cinnamon was one thing he mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I don't know. With each of these books that we read, I'm sure we'll take some little tidbits from it and leave others, and just
right. Yeah. So we have a comment about it. Looks like the program for a person who's not used to fasting. So yeah, I mean, I think he did say that there's longer fasts. This is more intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because I mean, he doesn't really go too much into doing a more prolonged fast in like the details of it. But I would imagine that if you want to do like a 3 or a 5-day fast, you just follow, his fast day recommendations.
Yeah.
But just continue it on. He did say that you need to drink about 2 liters of water each day. I'm assuming he means liquids, but he said water. So yeah, I mean, one thing that was curious to me about this book is that I know that he's the fasting guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of expected there to be more like meat on the actual fasting instead of it just being in the appendix.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's almost like the fasting how-to was an afterthought.
Yeah.
He built up to it, and he did a great job with that, actually, like explaining everything, all the rationale, the science.
He made us read that whole book.
And then
we didn't get any answers ahead of time.
Yeah, his buildup to justifying fasting was very thorough. And maybe in his mind, that's he was addressing people's like concerns about the why.
Well, wait a minute. Does he have a program? I think he has a program that like helps you fast. So maybe that's, you have to leave a little for the program, right?
So it was to whet your appetite.
It could be.
Make people want to join it. I don't know. It's just a guess.
Maybe. Yeah, well, considering how he left us at the end of every chapter with these nagging questions, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that he does that with the book in general.
Yeah.
Now, Robin, Carnivore's grandma, makes a point. She said that the ultimate guide to fasting, so that would probably be like the main fasting book, because this one is actually the obesity code. So he was just going in and explaining about obesity and how it's insulin and all of that. So maybe this really, I mean, now that I think about it, and thanks to Robin, I mean, maybe, I mean, the fasting kind of is an afterthought for this particular book because he was explaining all of the other. And then, yes, the fasting does relate, but then there's another whole book about the fasting.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's true. So, and I mean, this information is definitely helpful. You know, I went on a mall walk on Friday morning, and the lady that I was walking with, we were talking, and she, you know, we get into talking about health and fitness, right? And
Yeah.
I shared with her that I'm on this carnivore diet, and she had never heard of it before. So we talked a lot about it. And her, she shared that her husband has had a history of a lot of health problems, including cancer and heart surgery, but he's diabetic. And so, you know, I was sharing with her about the whole, what we learned through this book about about insulin, and, you know, using how the glycemic index is really not the best thing to refer to in the insulin index. And so I do know that I feel like I've learned something from this book.
Oh yeah.
That, and it's a good
for sure.
for people who aren't carnivores, or they're just looking into the carnivore diet. I think it provides at least some practical things that we can share. Like, I never knew there was an insulin index.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I didn't realize that was, I mean, that it's pretty important to have your, well, I mean, I don't want to say it's pretty important to have your insulin measured because it's going to be different at various times, but it's pretty important to consider the food's effect on insulin versus, you know,
now fasting
just
insulin is
sugar.
important though, because the fasting insulin determines how much your body is making in between times.
Yeah, but it's going to be different, right?
No, not the fasting one. In other words, like, and in the Common Sense Labs book that, you know, that Dr. Berry has, you know, he talks about the fasting insulin. Now you're right about after you eat, you wouldn't measure insulin because, I mean, it just fluctuates and changes.
Yeah.
But if you're doing lab work and you've fasted like the 12 hours that you're supposed to fast, if your body's working correctly, your insulin level's going to be low because it doesn't have this insulin built up, or it's not already shooting that insulin out there, like, you know, because it has to keep it up, like what Dr. Fung was talking about. Like,
it's going to show if you're insulin resistant.
Yeah, like your body's not utilizing insulin.
Yeah, if your insulin is high, if your fasting insulin is high, right?
Yeah.
Which mine was in the past.
I've never had mine measured.
Yeah, usually a regular doctor won't measure it. Functional medicine doctors usually measure it. That's what I need to make a video on. I need to talk about my experience with my functional medicine doctor.
Yes.
And go through all of my tests and everything. It's funny. I heard the other day somebody said, "Oh, you shouldn't put any of your medical information on the internet." I'm like, literally all of my medical information is on the internet.
Well, you know what, too, and I've heard that a lot, and I've heard people who start to share their medical information. They go, "I hope I'm not violating HIPAA." So realize, okay, and of course, Kim and I are nurses.
You can't violate HIPAA on yourself.
No, you can't violate HIPAA on yourself. You know.
Right.
If you are sharing your personal medical information, that is not a HIPAA violation.
HIPAA is to protect you.
It's to protect you from your doctor or another.
If you don't want protection, it's okay.
Sharing your personal medical information. So you sharing it yourself implies that you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Right. And just, you know, like I've shared screen images of my labs before, and I just make sure that I've blacked out any kind of identifying information. I mean, you certainly want to be smart about it. You know, you don't want to have like your account number or something on there. You know what I'm saying? A patient ID or something.
Or if you don't want to give out your address and that's on there or whatever, you know. So
as long as you
want to share.
Yeah, as long as you take precautions like that, I mean, you're sharing your own information, so it should be okay. But my first fasting insulin was actually just this past September. I mean, I had never had it before, and my regular doctor did order it. I mean, he was like, well, I don't know if your insurance will pay for it. And the insurance did pay for that. They did not pay for the vitamin D, or the D3, or the crap, Carrie, get it out. The D25. They did not pay for that, but I mean, it wasn't that much. So it was okay.
That's weird.
Yeah, but they did. Well, there was no reason. I mean,
to me, that's standard. I would just want that drawn standard.
Mm-hmm. But I had never had my D25 until I asked for it. So.
And you have to be careful too, because like regular doctors, like the range that's considered okay is a good portion of that range is actually too low. Like if you go to a functional doctor or a naturopathic doctor, like mine, the last time I had mine tested, it was, my naturopathic doctor said, no, that's way too low. And it was 39, I think. Mm-hmm. And the low end of the range on is like 30. And the doctor said, oh, no. We really want it to be like between 80 and 100. And over 50 is definitely better as far as your ability to, your immune system to fight off illness. Yeah. But, getting it between 80 and 100 is actually really ideal. And so, take whatever lab results your doctor orders and view them through the lens of more of a naturopathic or functional medical perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I did was I used Dr. Berry's Common Sense Labs as a basis of what my values should be. And that I was pretty satisfied, with the exception, I mean, I think my vitamin D was still too high. It was like 120. And so, the upper range is 100 of just
I just watched an interview today, and they were talking about vitamin D levels. And this person said that in Africa, now I don't know if there's some sort of genetic difference, but in Africa, when you measure these people they're out in the sun a lot, you measure their vitamin D levels, and 120 is really common for them. And it's not adversely affecting their health. I thought that was really interesting, because I remember you mentioning, that yours was 120 and considered high. So I don't know if there's like I mean, sometimes people of different races or their lab values change, like a GFR rate, is different for African American versus, other,
you know what, though? I don't know about that. I think that is an old, goes back to like old times when people thought that African Americans' pain tolerance was higher and they didn't feel things the same. I think that is, I've heard some mixed information on that.
Yeah, and it may be, and I don't know if it hasn't been visited for a long time. I know when I was working, in GI and with the liver, we did a lot of treatment for hepatitis C, and the antiviral medication, they actually had different length of treatment guidelines for African Americans versus other races. Really? Because their bodies just didn't respond the same, and they found that they needed to be a longer course of treatment. So I don't know how much of this is really like current science based. I know that with that treatment, it's current science based, because the oral medications for hepatitis C have only been around since maybe about 2013, 2014. And so that's fairly new.
I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I did hear that, and it'd be worth looking into. But,
and it could be
with all the other things I'm looking into.
Labs, right? I mean, each lab and each thing might require its own investigation.
Yeah.
But man, that's interesting about the vitamin D, though. I'll have to do some more looking, because even according to like the Common Sense Labs, like it was something like between 70 and 100 or something. So like I'm above that. Now I have heard Dr. Berry say to people, if they have like I don't remember any exact numbers, but it was numbers over 100. And he was like, well, that's really not something to worry about.
Yeah, he's just like, just stop taking it.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's like any real ill effects that we're aware of,
I'm just kind of afraid to stop taking it. I'm going to reduce my dosage. And well, actually, I've reduced my dosage because I ran out and I didn't order anymore. But I'm getting some more, but I'm going to take a smaller dose every other day just to try to maintain, because I think part of the whole seasonal affective issues that I used to just, not that I would get depressed, but I would feel it a lot.
Yeah.
And
me too. I mean,
yes. And a couple years ago, I started in the summer with vitamin D, 10,000 international units a day. And I felt like, man, when that winter hit, I mean, I'm not going to say that I was out in the front yard doing jumping jacks, but I mean, because winter does bring out the lazy in me, but I wasn't
the cozy.
Yeah, I mean, I want to
cozy
hibernate. I think that's what our ancestors wanted to do. They didn't want to do that much, and they didn't
Stay
really.
by the fireplace.
Yeah,
exactly. Bundle up, be warm.
But my frame of mind was better, and it's been better ever since I have been taking the vitamin D. And
but I wonder. I love seasons, and I live in Kentucky where we have just a perfect example of each season, I think. And I love that because I feel like it brings like a new start, like New Year, Monday. I love Mondays too. I don't know. It's like a fresh start on the week. I'm a weirdo, I know. But the seasons are like that too. And I wonder if we were just in weather that was just great all the time, would we take it for granted? Because I think I probably would. So it's almost like a restart, like when spring comes, Carrie, you're going to be happy.
Oh man, when spring
it's like
comes,
a newness,
Yes. Oh man, I will be doing jumping jacks in the yard come spring. I turn it. It's like somebody gave me a hit of speed or something on only it's like a permanent hit. In the months of spring, I get so energetic. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So Robin, I think it's important. I think it'd be good to go back and revisit a lot of these guidelines to see how much of it was based on the racism and, like what Kim was saying, those myths and assumptions that people made that were very racist based, versus whether or not there's actual science behind it.
Yeah.
Good science, not just any science.
Yes, exactly. We have to dissect our science, just like anything else.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the book, I was wanting to kind of start out on the section. It's on page 257. What can I take on fasting days? And just kind of start here. So he basically says all calorie-containing foods and beverages are withheld during fasting. However, you must stay well hydrated throughout your fast. Water, both still and sparkling, is always a good choice. Aim to drink 2 liters of water a day. A lot of this stuff we've already gone over here. But he specifically says artificial flavors or sweeteners are prohibited. Kool-Aid, Crystal Light, or Tang should not be added to the water. I am a bad Crystal Light offender. Just made a video about that today. But he says adding a squeeze of lemon or lime is good. You can add some slices of orange or cucumber just to add a little flavor. All types of tea are good: green, black, oolong, and herbal. You can blend them together. You can use spices for your teas. He says adding a small amount of cream or milk is also acceptable. I do really like tea with, I used to drink a little bit of milk in it. So I don't know. I might try that again.
It would have been helpful if he had really defined what does a small amount mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I mean, I like a little coffee with my creamer,
Yeah, same.
So,
but I really like my, one of my subscribers got me on coconut milk and coconut cream in my coffee, and I really like it. And it seems to be a good choice because the measurement on the side of the container is like a 1/3 cup, and there's just a few carbs in it. And also, coconut is a natural fighter of candida overgrowth. So that
Really?
works well for me. Yes. Yes.
Nice.
So I use
Well, I didn't know
everything to
that.
attempt to try to rid my body of the overgrowth of candida. You always have candida, of course, but anyway.
Wow.
So basically he says if you get hungry when you fast, it will come in waves, try to stay busy.
Mhm.
As the body becomes accustomed to fasting, it starts to burn its stores of fat and your hunger will be suppressed. So that's always a good feeling. And then let's see, he says there are also natural products that can help suppress hunger. Number 1, water, 2, green tea, 3, cinnamon, 4, coffee, and 5 was a real doozy for me. I had trouble getting past it.
I did
Chia
too.
seeds. Chia seeds,
Chia
y'all.
seeds.
Ugh.
How is that not food or not don't they have
Oh my
calories?
gosh.
Well, I think that they're very fibrous, and
I
maybe
think
it's a net
because yeah.
zero.
Yeah, because they're fibrous, they're probably it says chia seeds are high in soluble fiber and omega-3 fatty acids, which I love those, but don't necessarily think that I need to have a big gloopy gob of goo.
No.
I'm gonna look up calorie count on chia seeds.
Now,
And just
one thing that he said about intermittent fasting tips that I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And he was like, don't tell anybody that you're doing it because they'll try to talk you out of it. And I think that there are people in your lives, or at least I know there are people in my life who they will sometimes out of love. It's not that they're trying to be ugly or mean, but they're really out of love. They're concerned. Like I've had the old, you need to eat vegetables to get all your nutrition. Even though I'm eating cod livers and sardines, which have tons of things that other people have to supplement. But I digress. The point is, though, that when you tell people, if it's something that's out of the norm or they have a preconceived notion about it, they will try to talk you out of it. And if you're a newbie at it and you haven't been doing it very long, or if you're just getting started, it can be very disheartening. And it can be kind of scary then to hear people who don't really know what they're talking about to dissuade you.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting tip and a good one.
I like this tip from B-Dog. Switched over to an egg yolk and frothed it for the coffee.
I have not tried
I've
that
heard
one,
it's,
but I think
I've
I'm
heard
going
it's
to.
really good. Only I've just heard a whole egg, so I might try that.
I may try that in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Nisha does that, or she used to anyway. She has before. Okay, so will fasting make me tired? He basically says that the opposite is true.
Oh, and I
And
added a little thing here for chia seeds. Just
oh, okay.
I don't know if you can see it under the presentation thing.
Nope, wrong one. Hold on.
It's another one. There you go.
Okay.
Ah.
But 120, this is for an ounce. 128 calories or 138 calories for 1 ounce of chia seeds. 12 carbs. So,
well, it says 25 grams of fiber. Now, I'm not quite sure how. Well, dietary fiber is 10. Okay. So
yeah.
maybe.
I mean, there's no sugar. There's 9 grams of fat. But I mean, as far as breaking a fast, you're talking about, almost 140 calories.
So I think I agree with whoever it was earlier that said that this sounds like the, novice's guide basically to fasting
Not
rather
real
than
fasting.
Yeah, like an introduction to fasting type thing.
Yeah, kind of fasting for beginners. He did mention that you may, like, if you've never fasted before, that you may struggle. And maybe this is, I'm going to stop sharing that. Maybe this is his recommendation if you're just getting started. Now he did mention, he emphasized making sure you're getting salt and not forget to get your sodium, or you might end up with headaches and yeah. But he said too, like when it comes to the broth, not to use bouillon cubes because of course they have a bunch of garbage and MSG, and also be aware of canned broths. And that's why he provided a recipe for homemade broth.
Oh yeah, I showed that earlier, but I'll bring that back
up later too. But there you go. So that's his recipe for bone broth. So he includes vinegar. He doesn't specify what type. I guess you could do apple cider vinegar if you wanted to, I guess.
Probably,
or distilled white vinegar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just assume it's white vinegar if they don't specify.
I would assume it too. Yeah. Yeah. And then I know with me for histamine, like white vinegar is fine. I'd have to do white pepper instead of black pepper.
Yeah.
To get it lower histamine for me.
So Lynn, I've been watching several videos that had you in them, like lives or, just different things that you were in. I can't specifically name them right now, but it was 2 or 3 things.
Well, last weekend I had like 4 live streams.
Okay. So I think at least one of them was like on your channel, and then other ones were places that I found you, on other people's things. And I'm like, man, I need to watch more of Lynn's stuff. I'm really bad about watching like my friends' stuff, because we talk so much, and I always think, oh, well, I know what they think about it.
And you owe me an interview.
Huh?
You owe me an interview.
Yeah. I've already scheduled it for tomorrow.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
I missed that.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
If
I'm
not,
glad
I can schedule it
because I didn't catch that you rescheduled. Holy cow!
Yeah,
ask and you shall receive.
There we go. If you're not able to do it Monday night, just let me know. I think I did 8:30 because I didn't want to interfere with Dr. Barry's.
Yeah, no, I can do it. I can do it. But
but what I was going to say though is I need to go watch your histamine video. I hear that you have a really good histamine video. And I want to also refer everyone else to go watch that, because you don't realize what kind of effects that histamine can have on you and just how sensitive you are to some foods. And I've known in the past that was a big problem of mine. Like I would, for example, I would eat, like back in the day when I was eating junk, I would eat like a certain cookie from Starbucks and I would start sneezing immediately. I'm like, that's a histamine response. Why am I doing this? This is so weird. You wouldn't associate eating something with, having, runny nose and stuff immediately. So I need to watch that because I think,
I think that too, one of the things I go over is a lot of the symptoms of, if you do have some histamine intolerance, or if you're like me and have mast cell activation syndrome, it's not just your standard allergic type symptoms, like you were describing, like sneezing and, itchy, runny nose. But you can have there's a lot of gut issues. There's a whole variety, even heart palpitations. There's just a really variety of symptoms. And there are a lot of people out there having those and just not realizing that it's a histamine issue.
And see, I had all that. I know you've seen my video where I went through my list of symptoms a mile long.
That's the first video I watched of yours. I was like, holy cow, she sounds like me.
Yeah. I think a lot of those were. But Lynn, let me tell you why I think I have all those histamine issues. I think I'm having a histamine response because of the candida. When I get the candida overgrowth, that is going to make me more sensitive to different things. It makes sense to me from everything I've studied. Basically, I've put my picture together and I'm adding and subtracting to it as things make sense or don't make sense, or, scientifically don't align, or, whatever. But I've had to be my own doctor. And so videos like yours are very helpful.
I'm sure working in nursing that, anybody can have a mast cell response that's an exaggerated mast cell response. It's not talked about a lot with nursing, but it is something that anybody can have an infection, even if it's an overgrowth of the bad bacteria. It can trigger, or mold. It can trigger a mast cell response. And so, you know, even though I have the syndrome, you can have mast cell issues without having the syndrome. And it
Yeah,
can
and
be
see
triggered by an infection.
the candida infection basically has a similar presentation as like if you had mold exposure.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
it's, they're both fungus.
Yeah. And,
So,
you know,
fungi.
people have histamine intolerance, which generally tends to be reversible, but you know, yeah. So
I
no,
did get some of those pills one time. That is it
DAO.
DAO supplement. Those seem to be helpful. And
And
this was
that's
when I was
another
eating just a
indication
general.
that's another indication if they help that it's a histamine issue.
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, we
Well,
digress.
yeah, we always digress, but that's okay.
Part of the game here.
That's why you like us, right? Okay. Let's see here. So it says, will fasting make me confused or forgetful? No, you should not experience any of this. Basically, it helps improve memory, especially over the long term. And one theory is that fasting activates a form of cellular cleansing called autophagy that may help prevent age-related memory loss.
Mm-hmm.
I get dizzy when I fast. What can I do? Most likely you're becoming dehydrated. We've already discussed that. So a little extra sea salt and bone broth or mineral water helps alleviate the dizziness. Muscle cramps, low magnesium levels, particularly common in diabetics, may cause muscle cramps. You can take over-the-counter magnesium supplement, also soaking in Epsom salts, and then headaches, stomach growling. Basically, he just goes through heartburn, he goes through different things and gives you little remedies to them.
And the headaches are not, you know, people experience that too with like transitioning to a carnivore, low carb, high fat diet. And I think that it was a good reminder for me that salt is important.
Salt is king.
Yeah. And especially since you're eliminating it, you know, like before I was eating this way, most of my sodium came from garbage packaged products. You know, I didn't really salt my food very much, but I ate a lot of processed foods and packaged foods. If you look at the sodium content, it's a lot. And to go from eating tons of sodium to basically fasting, you know, it's really important not to forget to add the sodium.
I was going to throw this up real quick. Could it cause dyshydrotic eczema? Are you talking about candida or?
Yeah, clarify. Is that?
Or histamine? Are you talking about histamine problems?
Yeah, yeah. Just clarify, Robin.
I think eczema is definitely an autoimmune condition. So, all of this is due to inflammation. So really, I don't even like to separate it. I like to just say, if you eat the proper human diet and you get rid of your inflammation, it's probably going to take care of just about every type of symptom, especially of this type that you have, skin symptoms, just inflammation anywhere.
Yeah.
That's inflammation on your skin, basically, or
and I know Adam from
slack.
Carnivore Today just recently published his video with Bradley, and I had a live stream with Bradley too, maybe a couple months or so ago on my channel, and he has an incredible story with eczema, histamine. Yeah, watch him either on my channel or on Adam's channel, Carnivore Today, and he went on the carnivore diet, but he said histamine is a huge issue for him. So, and I know that I had to look up the dyshydrotic eczema because it's like refresh my memory, but it says it's a sudden rash of small itchy blisters on your palms and along the sides of your fingers. This skin condition can also make blisters pop up on the soles of your feet or on your toes. So obviously it's a reaction. I'm going to guess yes. I don't know 100% for sure, but I'm going to guess yes. But Bradley had incredibly bad eczema, and he had flares of it, and changing his diet resolved it all.
Oh, Lynn, I used to get something like that. I didn't know
I
it was
get,
called that.
I don't get the
Mine was like the
blisters.
tiny, tiny little blisters on my fingers,
I get
and I
itchy.
never knew
I'll
what
get itchy
caused it.
palms and itchy like soles of my feet sometimes. So, which is probably like, and obviously it's not this condition, the dyshydrotic eczema, but
Mhm.
I know that with histamine, I can have the itchy on my, specifically on my palms and the soles of my feet. So I'm gonna guess that yes.
I think there's a connection between, well, I'm pretty sure there's a connection between that and lupus too.
Oh,
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
and I mean it's it just all goes together. I mean, whether or not you say I've got lupus, I've got Sjogren's, I've got any of the autoimmune diseases, it's just like a continuum,
it's an immune reaction.
specify that you have this type of symptom, then they're going to call it lupus. If you specify that you have these symptoms, they're going to call it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting because I know I've had the itchy palms and soles of the feet for a long time and just was kind of living with it.
Yeah.
Because it was one of it was really low on the spectrum of my symptoms. So it was like, whatever, you know, but now I still occasionally get that. And yeah, and I assume that it's probably because I have had some histamine-ish, response to something. It may be environmental because I'm not doing the histamine in my food anymore. So yeah, it sounds really painful.
Yeah, it really does. The ones that I got, I don't know for certain that it was that type of thing. They were it was just like a few scattered, on my hands. And I thought, what in the world is that?
Yeah,
And
it
then I
sounds
also used to get,
miserable.
I used to get blisters on the inside of my eyelid too, like
Oh.
just on the lash line.
Interesting.
I don't know what that was about.
Yeah. Well, everybody's a little different in, how they present if you're dealing with histamine issues. And it's not like histamine is the only thing that can cause a reaction. It's just really common. So there's other issues,
Yeah.
other things that can cause problems too. But, it doesn't necessarily present exactly the same with each person.
But whatever it is, it's probably due to inflammation.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny about that is there are markers of inflammation that your doctor can test. And every single time I would go to my doctor, I would be like, the one word I used over and over was inflamed. I just feel inflamed. My esophagus feels inflamed. It's a hot feeling. You know that I would call it the the fever feeling. Like you just feel like you have a fever, but you don't. And she still, now this is not my current doctor, this is my previous doctor, and she was sweet, but sweet doesn't help me. But she would just be like, I'll write it down. There was never any follow-up testing, no
Not even
looking into it
checking
at
your
all.
female hormones to see if you were hitting
No.
menopause.
As a matter of fact, she was very resistant to that because she was like, oh, I know you're not in menopause.
Well, is she clairvoyant?
Okay.
Really?
I mean, I guess she thought I was, yeah. I guess she thought I was too young. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell what they think, but I think that a lot of them just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Like it's just the way that the modern medical system is, especially when you're in an outpatient clinic, you come in, they've got very few minutes with you that they've got on the books to actually spend with you. So if you're a talker like me, they're like, oh, okay, let's
Stick
not
with your
go
chief
into too many
complaint,
things.
Sam.
Yeah, there was never any chief complaint with me. What I would do was I would go one time a year to my annual visit, and then I would take a list with me of everything that had been bothering me.
That was me
So
too.
I guess it's not really fair,
And then the doctor's eyes kind of bug out, like I don't even know where to start.
She's been saving up.
I don't know where to start with this.
Well, you're like an assembly line. It's like an assembly line going through, an outpatient medicine. They see like one person after another,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's.
So how does that help me? That is of no use whatsoever to me. So I feel like I just don't even want to do it. I don't even want to participate in that anymore.
Yeah, my appointments with
But
my
I'm a horrible
naturopathic
patient.
doctor are an hour long each time.
Yeah.
So
All right. Let's see here. Where were we?
I think we left off with constipation. Of course, his solution is fiber
Oh,
and laxatives.
Oh,
yeah, let's do that. I mean, this is, and see, Lynn, this is kind of, we had been talking a little bit behind the scenes about, one of our buddies, Russ, who had put a question in the comments, or a comment in the comment section. And it was kind of, that went against what was the information that was in the book.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I
I don't always
different doctor.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't always pull every comment in, because he was saying something about another doctor that kind of went against this doctor. And I'm like, okay, we could read that and see what he says. But I mean, as far as like people going against this theory, like there are an endless amount of people who don't agree 100% with this guy. So, it's like,
and
we just kind of have to read it and take what we can.
I was on his live stream, his hangout live stream, just for a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes or so the other day, and when he brought that up. But I appreciate him bringing it up, because I think it's important to at least show that there are contradictions in what different doctors will say. But my response was basically, I think it just goes to show that nutritional studies are they're difficult to do, because there's so many variables that you can't necessarily control. Especially when you're dealing with people. It's one thing when you're dealing with like rats, and you can have a control group, and it's a lot easier, and you're very controlling every single thing that you do with their environment and their diet. But it's very different with people, and these nutritional studies are challenging. I can really see how different doctors could come to different conclusions, and scientists could come to different conclusions.
And even doctors who are kind of the same ilk, they're friends, they agree. Like, Dr. Berry will often say, we agree on just probably 90% of everything.
Yeah.
You're always going to
have. Oh, we lost Kim. She'll come back.
She accidentally clicked on something.
And I can't click on the comments and scroll through. So we're going to sit, and I need to turn upside down to see.
She's back.
Profile picture. We lost you for a millisecond there.
I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I was basically saying, even doctors who are buddies, they don't agree 100%. And that's just based on our experiences. It's the same reason why we might be best friends, and one of us is a Democrat and the other one's a Republican, because everything up to that point is based on your life experiences, and it's all in your mind, and other people can't necessarily see it. So
and even with that, if you like using politics as an example, there's actually a lot that each side agree on.
I think there's more that people agree on, without getting too deep into that. But it's like there's so much that people agree on, but they'll focus on like one little point that may be even kind of insignificant, and then it'll just totally break them apart.
Or there are people who don't want everybody to get along, and so they will like poke the bear, and this person said this person said this, and they're talking out of both sides of their mouths, and then people have conflict. And that's why I don't engage in the news media.
Well, you gotta do your own research and make your own decision, and you gotta figure out like what's working for me.
Right.
So,
and here's a perfect example right here. Collagen. So Dr. Berry, says, oh, you're just totally wasting your money. When I take it in my coffee and I do the organic and all that, I feel like it helps my hair and my nails, and I think it helps me. I mean, is that an actual thing
on your gut?
What?
How is it with your gut?
I mean, fine, I guess. Why? What would it cause? Diarrhea?
Well, it depends. I mean, I know she said that it's only processed gelatin. Gelatin is high histamine. Like I
don't notice any problem from it.
Yeah, I can't do gelatin. even I have to be careful with how many of the capsules, because a lot of the supplements and things have gelatin is the caps. They're in a gelatin capsule. I can do a little bit, but if I do too much, I will have intestinal. It's really pain, and it'll kind of kick my IBS in a little bit, maybe increase stool frequency. But that doesn't mean everybody that has histamine issues is going to be equally affected by the same.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, you have MCAS, so that's a pretty,
right.
Like, that's like the histamine issue of histamine issues, right?
Right. But I mean, your gut is full of histamine receptors. So sometimes, it'll affect your gut. Other people, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
More of the skin.
I have noticed over my lifetime that chocolate will do it. Is chocolate, I'm pretty sure chocolate's a higher histamine food, isn't it?
I think so. It's been a while since I've looked, but don't quote me on that, because lately I've been just focusing on carnivore foods with histamine.
Well, I'm talking about just like years ago. I noticed as a child that when I would go and eat a Blizzard from Dairy Queen, which I loved, and I would still do it anyway because it was worth the punishment. I would immediately have to go to the restroom, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. It was still good.
It wasn't the dairy?
I don't think so, because I would consume other types of ice cream that weren't chocolate, and I didn't have the same response.
What the actual ingredient list is for the Blizzards?
It could have. I don't know. And, who knows? But I would eat M&Ms, and it didn't do that. And then I would eat, so.
I'm looking at my list. It's a huge honking long list. So I have to scroll down and see if I can find chocolate, but you don't have to wait for me. Keep going.
No. All right. So let's go on to Appendix C, meditation and sleep hygiene to reduce cortisol. Now, this whole cortisol thing, it's been like a double-edged sword for me. Like, I absolutely think my cortisol is too high and then I need to reduce it. But then a lot of the things that people say are good, they also increase your cortisol. So I'm really quite confused about that. But basically, he wants you to have some stress reduction.
Okay, chocolate is moderately high in histamine.
Okay. And I mean, you can just have sensitivities to different foods too. So maybe that was it.
And it's highly subjective. These lists there, because you can't measure histamine in foods.
Yeah.
It's all based on, a large population of people sharing that they had a response.
You know what is crazy, Lynn, is that different cuts of meat affect me differently. And I still don't have an explanation for that.
And they're all aged the same?
Well, maybe that's it. But the chuck roast, I was wanting to get chuck roast, and I love chuck roast. It's delicious. But every single time, if I eat a bunch of chuck roast, I'll be running to the bathroom.
Interesting. It may be that it may be the processing, the aging, how long it's aged. Hard to say. It's interesting.
Yeah. All right. Now let's see here. So basically, exercise, mindfulness, meditation,
Mary can talk
breath work.
Yep. Love meditation. I cannot stress, I cannot tell you enough the benefits. I mean, like it's the perfect trifecta, I think, for me, is my morning walks, my meditation, and then carnivore. It just like everything just came together in the perfect storm, and it just made me so much better, because I had meditated in the past and wasn't real consistent with it, but I did do it, and I would also walk. But it's funny, like, when, just tying all of that together. And but a thing that he mentioned too about stress reduction, and he was talking about exercise, and that when you have that fight or flight response, that's your body's way of, you're ready to run or something like that. And he said that exercise reduces stress. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That never occurred to me. I mean, I've always heard that exercise reduces stress, But for some reason, that statement in the book just kind of like, oh, well, okay, duh. You know, that would reduce your stress because it would kind of work it out of you, you know. But anyway,
well, it's interesting because I know I'm wondering too, though, with stress, and me and exercise, like I said, is not a thing. So I don't know a whole lot about exercise and cortisol. Like I get stressed out of thinking about exercise. But I feel like I read just recently with exercise that kind of you have to be like keep doing it, be consistent, because maybe initially, especially if you're out of shape, it actually kind of raises your cortisol levels, but you need to continue doing it in order to get that benefit from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just go out and exercise once when you're out of shape and, you know, because that can be really stressful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When your body's not used to it.
Yeah, but the meditation, and I know people are like, well, I can't lay still and I would do it wrong. And this is the thing, you practice. I mean, I don't think there's anybody on the face of this earth that can just perfectly meditate the first time they try it. I mean, my mind wanders all the time, but the trick is you bring it back and you focus on whether it's your breathing or whether it's your chakras or just, you know, and I like the guided meditations, although I will sometimes meditate just to music. And if I meditate just to music, usually that'll be like a second meditation that I might do before bed or something. But the guided ones in the morning, I don't know. There's just something about doing that first thing and then getting up and taking that walk that it just clears my head, and it just makes me, I don't know, it just makes me face the day better. It makes me calmer. And then you just, like I said, you put the carnivore diet in with that, and it's just the perfect combination. And
Do you meditate before you eat your breakfast or after?
I do.
Before.
It's the first thing that I do. Well, I feed the cat, because if I don't, he will nag me to death.
No,
I mean, there will be no meditation.
No meditation with that, huh?
No, not at all. So I feed him and come right back upstairs. Well, I do use the bathroom too, because obviously if you have to pee, it's going to be hard to, to concentrate. But that's like 5 minutes max doing both of those things. And then I go right back in there and I just, the lights are out, everything is, and I just meditate. And it's just, it's difficult to describe. You just get this sense of peace, and it does take practice. And I am nowhere near perfect, folks, but I can tell you that it has made a world of difference in my life.
That's interesting. I've literally never meditated before, but we had a question for you.
I'm walking a little bit less of a distance because it's winter and limited daylight. So I generally walk anywhere now between usually about 1.5 miles in the morning now. Now, when in the summer, when I've got way more daylight, I can do like 4 miles in the morning.
That's good.
So I just log in at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I have to, and I don't want to walk in the dark. So I wait until I can see some, substantial light, like the sun's not up yet, but there's substantial light. And then I just don't feel comfortable walking in the dark. So I don't.
So I have a question about the meditation.
Sure.
So I don't really even know. I'm embarrassed to admit this because I know that I could easily Google this and find out, but I've never tried meditating like I would picture people meditating, right? But I think that something that I do might be a form of meditation. So I always do it when I get massages, but sometimes I'll do it when I'm just falling asleep at night too. And I'll keep myself in that state, that state between like being awake and being asleep, where it's like this weird, like pseudo reality, and you're almost like conscious dreaming, but you can guide it.
Yep.
I do that a lot. Is that meditation? I have no idea.
I believe that
it makes me feel really good. When I do that, it makes me feel really good. And sometimes I'll do it. Actually, I did it a lot to get myself through the grieving process from when my father passed away. I would try to conjure up memories of him and just specific things that we did together. I get teary thinking about it. And I would sometimes, like, I would be getting a massage and I would be doing that in my mind, and had this one masseuse who was really quiet, and I liked her a lot because, when they start talking to you, it just messes that up. But
Yeah.
I would have like a tear running down my face, and I'm thinking, she probably thinks I'm a weirdo.
Well, I
She's
know
massaging me and I'm crying,
Now, I don't know, Carrie, have you experienced, like, when you're meditating, do you have a kind of a visceral response that will cause you to start crying at times?
I have had that.
That can happen. You can actually, like, uncontrollably just notice you're starting to cry, and it's like this visceral release of emotion, which I think is really healthy.
Yeah,
And sometimes
that's
I just get
trapped
this
inside you.
feeling. Sometimes I just get this feeling of love and gratitude. I know this sounds so woo-woo, but it is just,
no, not at all. I
and
mean,
it just
this is our
overcomes you, and it
natural.
just, yeah, and it just, you feel like you're in tune with things, and like you're not alone, and it's just, you just feel like you're a part of the whole, and
Well,
it's
and
just,
also,
it's
like, you're
wonderful.
allowing your senses to do what they're designed to do. We overstimulate ourselves so much. I mean, here we are on our electronics, right? I mean, they're good in so many ways, but we overstimulate ourselves so much that we just sometimes we have to just kind of bring ourselves down and be like, okay, what does this table feel like? It sounds crazy, but your body's meant to take in those out or input from your environment. That's what it's designed to do, and sometimes we interfere with that.
Yeah, well, he does talk about, give some guidance on how to meditate, which I thought was helpful in case somebody has not meditated before and doesn't really know how. So, I don't know if you want to review that or if we have time.
You want to go over that?
Sure. I'll try to summarize it, but he says to find a quiet location, obviously, where you won't be disturbed for about 20 minutes, and then sit down on the ground on a cushion, or even in a chair is fine. And he says if you're sitting in a chair, make sure your feet are placed comfortably on the ground or on a pillow. Just make sure you're feeling comfortable and relaxed. And he says don't put your palms facing up. You're not going to do this thing. Just with
I
your
don't
palms
do
down on
that.
your thighs. Yeah. And he said to gaze at the floor about 6 feet ahead of you and focus on the tip of your nose, and then gently close your eyes, and then feel your chest becoming open, your back becoming strong, and then begin your meditation sitting in this position. And then the first couple minutes, you focus on how your body and your environment feels. If your thoughts wander away from your body, to gently bring them back to your body and your environment, and do this, continue to bring it in throughout the meditation. Every time your mind wanders, just focus back on your body and how it feels. And then he said, once you've begun to relax, start to focus gently on your breath. Breathe in through your nose to the count of 6 and exhale through your mouth slowly to the count of 6. Pay attention to how your breath feels entering and exiting your body. So it's really internally focused on how you're feeling. And then you start to migrate over, once you do the breathing, to migrate over to your thoughts. Make sure you're not being bombarded by thoughts, but pay attention to the thoughts that you have. If they cause you any negative emotions, then you try to think back to a time where you experienced similar challenges and remember how it felt to overcome those challenges. So I guess that's kind of problem solving in the moment, I guess. And work through those thoughts until your body begins to feel lighter. Again, more body awareness. He says, if you notice you have become so caught up in your thoughts that you have forgotten where you are, gently bring your thoughts back to your breath. So go back and focus on the breathing. So that's his recommendation for how to meditate. So,
and that's pretty much it's very close to what I follow. It's just that I use Dr. Joe Dispenza's guided meditations, but it's a very similar process.
Yeah. And there's a lot of guided meditation out there. There's apps that you can get for your phone.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot out there. So I don't know if there's any that's better than the other. I think it just is probably whatever works for you.
So, I was wanting to tell you guys about something that really helps me out a lot, especially if I'm ever having trouble going to sleep at night or just trying to get my mind to, calm down or whatever. I can't remember the official name of it, but I just call it 3 breaths technique, 3 breaths in and 3 breaths out, but it's a special way you do it. So you take like as big of a breath as you possibly can in, and you stop. And then on top of that breath that you've already got what you think is full lungs, right? Then you breathe in again. Okay. So on top of that, and then you let it out slowly, like as slowly as you can. And you do that 3 times. And it does something, it resets something. I'm not sure what it does, but it works every time. And I'll be asleep within just minutes after that.
I'll have to try that.
And a patient actually taught it to me.
Really?
So, yeah.
Techniques. Like I used to share with my GI patients with IBS, a breathing techniques that actually was studied and showed to help with IBS. And it's called like box breathing.
Oh, yeah, I do box breathing all the time.
Yeah. You just inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and repeat.
And it's harder than you think.
It is harder.
It slows you down. I can use that boxed breathing technique. And like I used to run tachycardic all the time. I would almost always be above 100 on my heart rate. And so I showed my friend at work how I could do it. I can lower my heart rate by 10 points at least every time consistently by doing box breathing. And I don't tell them what I'm doing. I just say, I can wheel my heart rate to go down. And they're like, whoa. Okay, look, show me. And I do it every time.
Yeah.
And it works for your blood pressure too. So I'll do it when I sit down at the doctor's office before they take my blood pressure. I do a form of that,
That's a good tip for if you experience the white coat syndrome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it obviously works on your nervous system, which is why it does work for irritable bowel syndrome. It can work for all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, that triple breath
system. Yep.
Yes, that triple breath of that. Like that.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And that's actually when I read about about the box breathing with irritable bowel syndrome. It did talk about what it does to your parasympathetic nervous system. Because your parasympathetic nervous system kind of needs to be like re-engaged, because that's the part of your nervous system that calms you down. And so many of us have been living off of stress and going crazy that your parasympathetic system just kind of gives up and trying to calm you down. So it kind of retrains your system to help calm you down.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's
Lavender
see here.
spray on the lavender vanilla. That's a nice scent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just loving where this conversation's going. Even with us not talking about the book, we just have so much to talk about.
Like by the book, right?
Yeah. But
and the sleep hygiene falls right into where
But maybe we should do some lives where we just talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about.
Well, let's do it. I'm in.
We can invite friends or, Yeah. But I will say that I think once you get if you get more than 4 people, it gets to be really just hard to even get a word in edgewise.
Yeah. It does. But it's fun to have a panel too. Carrie joined me last Monday for a group where we interviewed a new carnivore, and we all, her and Christy and I, and it was a lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else do we want to talk about, ladies? Anything?
Oh, well, we need to talk about the next book because
yes, we do.
Yes, because I know mine's coming sometime this week.
Okay.
I ordered it from Amazon.
And I got it from Kindle. I've just got it on my phone. So I do have it.
Okay. So I need to ask everybody who watches this video, who wants to actually read this book with us, because we need people to come in, be on stage, contribute. Anybody that has read it or who wants to read it with us, we would love to have you.
Well, maybe we
And
should start posting the link to come in in the chat, and then anybody who wants to join us can join us.
okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
I do request though that, I mean, if you, well, I would rather you have read the book if you come in, put it that way. Although I have had a lot of friends who haven't read the book that have supported me, so I definitely didn't want to exclude them by any means. But if y'all could read the book, it'd be great.
Yeah, I don't think it means you got to be here for the whole time. I mean, I know with a lot of the group live streams that they have people come in for a few minutes, talk to them, and then they go on to the next person.
Yeah.
We're not going to bring 10 people in at the same time.
Well, and just, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a ton of people who are, actively wanting to read a book with us, but
yeah, but it would be cool. So Robin says she'll read it. She'll read it with us.
Okay, awesome. Yay, Robin. And yeah, Robin, just like you said you've been trying to get a hold of me. How have you been trying to get a hold of me? Because I don't think I've seen anything.
I know Instagram is an easy way to get a hold of you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Kimberly Lane, I think. Isn't it Kimberly Lane? Yeah. I think I'm Kimberly Lane everywhere. But I don't really have the same presence on Instagram, but I do like to use the Messenger.
Yeah, you're Kimberly Lane on Instagram.
It's mostly just my little funny videos and my dog videos and stuff, though. Yeah. All right. Well,
we missed Bubba this week, so he wasn't here.
Yes. So. Bubba is making some big moves. He's got some new channels he's coming out with. He's doing a lot with his guitar and the ocean, recording a lot of footage of the ocean. He is lucky enough to live by the ocean. So I told him, I said, just seeing that view of the ocean while you play your guitar, like for people like me who rarely ever get to go to the ocean.
Right.
We love it. We eat that stuff up.
Well, if you guys are ever in Washington, come see me. It's about a 20-minute drive to the coast.
Oh, cool.
We go all the time.
Okay.
Well,
you have to go out west and see Christy and see you.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah, she's way down in California.
Yep.
But yeah, there's actually
I always wanted to go to California.
Carnivores in Washington, though.
Yeah, that's true. Carnivorous me, Amanda.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going this Saturday. I'm going to meet her meetup. She has meetups not every month, but quite often she has meetups. And I went to her hers last June, but I just started. Like I was maybe a couple weeks into the carnivore diet, maybe 3 weeks into it, and we went on this long walk, and took me 2 weeks to recover. Like literally, I was in such bad shape, and so this Saturday will be the only other one I've been to, and what a difference! She usually has some sort of a fitness, like a walk or something, and then we go out to eat. But Dr. Sean Baker lives in my town, and Anthony Chafee's always coming back here because he went to the University of Washington for medical school.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Bella, the steak and butter gal, lives in the area too. And Carrie was talking about doing a meetup here in Washington. So
that would be neat.
Yeah, all those. That'd be cool. Yeah, because there's quite a few of us. So
yeah.
But awesome.
All right, guys, are we ready to?
So what chapters, since we're getting our books, what chapters are we going to do in the new book? You want to start with 2 chapters, or
with how many?
You have to look at them.
I haven't looked at it lately. I've already read the book. I've listened to it years ago. Listen to me. Probably a year ago. It's been over a year. I know that. I'll say the other day, and it's been months. So I have no.
I do the same thing.
Whatsoever.
So
But
what?
yeah, so
Maybe do chapters 1 and 2.
I don't know how long the chapters are.
I don't either. I don't have it yet.
I kind of like the 3-chapter thing. I feel like that's a good. I don't know. Can y'all do 3 or?
I haven't even gotten my book yet, so I don't know how long it is.
I could do 3. I don't think they're like just terrible. Like they're not novellas. Each
Yeah.
chapter's not a novella. So I think it'd be let me see if I can pull it up.
Let's see here. I think I'm also going to get that Kindle, whatever subscription it is where you get like unlimited Kindle books.
Yeah, I've got, okay, let's see.
So Susan says chapter 1 is 8 pages. Oh, so that's not bad.
Yeah. So that well, chapter 1.
I want to have enough to talk about,
Yeah, but not too
okay,
much.
in Kindle, it starts, and I mean, it may be slightly different, but it starts like chapter 1 starts on page 50, and then chapter 4 starts
50,
50, and then chapter.
Okay, chapter 1 starts on page 50.
Yeah, on my Kindle. Now I don't know how that. I don't have. So like there's the dedicate, like there's the cover page, and I think they count the title page, copyright page, dedication is 3 pages, contents.
Chapter 2 is 12.5 pages, she said.
Yeah.
This is helpful. We'll never run out of things to talk about. That's so true.
So I think we could probably do, let's see.
Let's just shoot for 3 chapters and
then we'll kind of weigh it out next time. We may need to do more if it's really super short.
Okay, so I guess in the actual book, chapter 1 starts on page 24. Okay. Well, all right. Very cool. And I usually read it the couple days before anyways, otherwise my brain doesn't remember everything. So
yeah, me too. I told you guys I do it 3 times. I listen to it through, like doing other things. Then I'll listen to it through again and kind of focus more on it. And then that 3rd time I usually take notes. So all right. Well, it's been nice this week. No, Renee, we're going to do 3 chapters.
3 chapters.
So it's nice to wrap up this book, though. It's been a long one, and it's been very information packed, and kind of difficult, like really attention had to focus. So anyway, so we're going to do this next week then?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And then let me ask you guys real quick about time. Would you all be able to do 4 o'clock, or is that too early? Like 4 o'clock Eastern Standard, like 1 hour earlier than we've been doing it, or is that too early?
I think I can. It's like that's 1 p.m. my time. So I
mean, just if it's too early, that it's fine at 5.
We usually go to church and not, it gets out at noon. So, and we're like 20. I think I'll be fine.
Would that be rushing you too much?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I think I'll be fine.
Next week I've got a live at, let's see, 2 Central, which would I guess be 1 Eastern. So
aren't we an hour ahead?
Y'all are an hour earlier than us, right? Eastern is like, so Eastern is
right
1.
Right now it's 6:30 or 6:25 here.
Yeah, so it's 5:25 here.
It's 3:25
Okay, so you got your interview at what time?
It's at 2 o'clock Central.
Okay, so that's 3 Eastern.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's gonna,
you will just be getting done at 4 o'clock. So let's just leave it at 5 then.
Now after that, I can do it whenever on Sunday afternoon. It's just that I scheduled with Nicole for next week. So
okay. All righty. Well,
all right, sounds good. And I'm going to see you tomorrow.
All right. Well, I guess we'll head out of here, guys, and join us next week for Dr. Barry's book, Lies My Doctor Told Me.
Yes. Yay.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.